All right, y'all, I'm sorry. Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl was whack. The white people at the Super Bowl party that I was with, he may as well have been speaking Mandarin.
Watch the halftime show to see the cultural shift happen. The only lyrics the crowd knew out of all of Kendrick's discography was A minor. But when he did the Wakanda Forever performance, everybody fell asleep.
The point of a halftime show isn't to give the world some puzzle to figure out.
What's up, YouTube? It's Cam, aka Cam Puts You On, and today we are talking about the Super Bowl. Okay, I feel like we have to, bro. I feel like there's no way we can get around it. Okay, but as always, if y'all like the content, make sure you like and subscribe and comment what you think down below. What were your opinions on the Super Bowl? What are the vibes? But let's get into it. So as you guys probably know, Kendrick Lamar hosted the Super Bowl, right? And he had all of these black performers on stage. He had Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam. He had Serena Williams crip walking. He had a lot of messages through his performance that was only like 13 or 14 minutes long. Right? He had SZA on stage, bro. He had everybody there. Right? Mustard came out. But through all these big name people coming out and supporting him, performing with him, X, Y, and Z, he had a lot of messages. Okay, a ton of messages. We see the American flag being divided. We see Uncle Sam kind of talking about how like he's being too ghetto and to like calm the culture down. He teases not like us and then has like a game over message sent in the back. He has like a cheat code plays for like San Andreas for body armor that kind of shows like him playing a cultural game. And there's a whole ton of messages. Like I'm only scratching the surface of everything he was trying to get off. Why is that important in a Super Bowl? Well, you would think because a lot of people should be talking about like, oh, like he was saying all these messages. It's really interesting. Let's break this down. There's been a lot of controversy on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, everywhere. Basically saying that they had issues with Kendrick Lamar's performance. A lot of it was that his set list was bad. He did not appeal to a wide audience, and he didn't appeal to the audience in the Super Bowl. Those were like the three critiques, okay? So I want to combat some of those critiques. So first of all, let's go through the set list. And I'll put it on screen right here. You'll see like all the stars, Humble, Peekaboo, Not Like Us, of course, TV Off. I saw a lot of people, mostly that were critiquing a kind of like the political stance that he was taking, were saying that his set list didn't have enough bangers. They were saying that his set list wasn't enough of his bangers. Gang, what is the problem? What is the problem? We have, you want to talk about bangers, he played like three of his biggest songs from his last album that he just dropped. His last like mixtape that he just dropped that took like every spot on the Billboard damn near. Like it took literally almost every spot on the Billboard. I think maybe it did. But he played Squabble Up too. TV Off is a banger. Everybody loves TV Off. The Mustard part goes crazy. Not Like Us was like the biggest song last year. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? This is like not a few and far between like takes. Like this is a lot of people saying this. Saying that his set list like didn't have a lot of bangers, but I think DNA and Humble were kind of there to kind of silence those people saying that. I mean, it also fit his themes of morality and kind of like where he sees himself, and like that he was talking about the black experience within America and kind of critiquing America. So DNA was kind of a good song to place in that spot as well. So for people to say that it didn't have enough bangers, it's kind of crazy to me. I don't really understand. I feel like it kind of all roots back to it being more of a political statement more than anything. Which if that's the case, if you think, and I don't even want to say it's a political statement, because like I think being black in America and like what we experience isn't a political thing. This is like the experience in America. It's like deep rooted. And it's displayed within politics, but this is just a human experience, right? So I don't necessarily even want to say it was a political statement, because then people get all divisive. People start tweaking. They're like, oh, I saw some comments on Twitter talking about DEI and stuff. I'm like, bro, this was just performing, bro. Like I don't even know. I'm gonna stay on topic. This is a rantish video because I just had to get off my chest. I think a large issue and a lot of things that I was seeing within the set list was, again, that it had too many bangers. But with this, there was literally, and I think this is a rage bait post, to be honest, but I saw it enough to where, like, this is like a genuine critique that people are having. That the set list was not made for the people at the Super Bowl. Now, I saw this critique with like Sneeko. I saw this critique with some random dude on Twitter who was saying that,
all right, y'all, I'm sorry. Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl was whack. That was one of the worst halftime shows in recent memory. First of all, Kendrick Lamar is not mainstream. Like, people do not know those songs. The white people at the Super Bowl party that I was with, he may as well have been speaking Mandarin. All right, because nobody knew these songs. Nobody knew what he was rapping about outside of Not Like Us, obviously. But nobody knows these songs. Second of all, Blinkety Black, I'm so much blacker than you. Halftime shows are very passe. Like, that stuff peaked in the BLM era. It's very not of this moment. It very much does not work. And also, it's been done better. So at this point, nobody cares.
and I was seeing this critique so much. People saying that it was like, I think XQC made a comment that it was puzzling. Like, he didn't want to have to be at a party and have to dig through puzzles. That's not what the Super Bowl is for. And you'll hear this rhetoric a lot. This isn't what the Super Bowl is for. I think that's an important statement. Regarding it wasn't made for people at the Super Bowl. Understand the demographic, right? Most of the people at the Super Bowl are pretty wealthy white people at this Super Bowl. Not saying there's anything wrong with being white and wealthy. But you have an artist who his predominant fan base, or like the main target audience for his music, is going to be black people. So already his target audience is not at the Super Bowl. Now, white people do love Kendrick. Like, there are white people that love Kendrick. But in terms of like these affluent white people, I don't know if they're bumping Kendrick talking about poverty growing up in Compton. Like, I don't know if that's their vibe. Like, I feel like they're more of like turn on the radio type of thing, or maybe listen to like Sabrina Carpenter or Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if Kendrick is really what they're bumping all the time. So the initial critique of
the only lyrics the crowd knew out of all of Kendrick's discography was A minor. But when he did the Wakanda Forever performance, everybody fell asleep. People have never been more tired of the inauthenticity.
I don't think he was trying to. Like, I don't think that was necessarily his goal. Now, there were people bumping it. You heard everybody say A minor, so I don't even know if that was even true. Like, I think people knew the song. People knew his most popular songs. That's how, like, popularity usually works. But even the critique from this dude on Twitter talking about, oh, his white friends didn't know the song. A lot of people were backing that in the Twitter comment, which is to be expected. That's kind of the community that he is. He's like a huge Trump supporter, kind of like anti-rap type of dude. He even says, like, rap needs to not be at the Super Bowl in the future. So it makes sense that people in his Twitter comments were supporting him. Not surprised about that. What I am surprised by is that he wasn't the only person saying this type of rhetoric. And it's like, again, like, things don't happen kind of in this vacuum, in this bubble. There are spaces outside of your own that people may know more may know different things. So I think the rhetoric to be like, oh, and the people that I was around, they didn't bump it, so everyone must not bump it. It's like, no, I was at home excited. Like, I was at home grinning ear to ear, like, this is exactly what I wanted, bro. This is exactly what I wanted. This was beautiful. I saw it in grills at the Super Bowl. Like, easy to appease. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not hard, okay? So I was happy. I was excited, just like a lot of people in my own circles were too. Like, my own circles had a blast. And if I was just going off of my own circle, I would think the entire world loved this Super Bowl performance. But obviously, like, we have to see outside of ourselves as well and kind of understand that, like, there's different bubbles for different things. However, I think Kendrick's Super Bowl was still extremely popular. It was like one of the most viewed, I think it was the most viewed Super Bowl of all time. Like, so obviously people were watching it and tuning in. This critique that I want to get into of XQC said, which again is another rhetoric that I kind of saw, is that
the point of a halftime show isn't to give the world some puzzle to figure out.
This isn't what the Super Bowl is made for. This is why you need to play your bangers. The Super Bowl should be your best hits. I think it's really interesting that a lot of people have the mindset that because something has been this way, it must always be this way. I think especially for people to view artistry like that, performances, music, to have that rhetoric is like anti-art. In my opinion. Like, it does not allow for the evolution of anything. It's devoid of creativity. It is the removal of, like, the human spirit. To be like, oh, well, the Super Bowl has always been like this, so it should just be like this again. He should just pick his top 10 most listened to tracks and play it again. I think that it's kind of problematic in the sense of like Kendrick is sitting here trying to make a message. He's doing something that I don't think has really ever been done before on this like stage of the Super Bowl. Your critique is that he should have played bangers. I think that kind of lacks kind of the nuance of his performance, which is fine. If that's your honest to God take, is that he should have had more bangers, it's like, okay, but like, was that his intention? Like, was his intention fulfilled? Did he do what he set out to do? I think that is a better question, and kind of how I think it may be more beneficial to look at performances, to look at art. Did this artist set out and accomplish what he set out to do? Like, did this artist accomplish what he set out to do? That's the question. And I think Kendrick accomplished that. So the idea that the Super Bowl shouldn't be puzzling, the Super Bowl shouldn't invoke thought, the Super Bowl should just be these legacy acts performing their legacy songs, I think it's just like a useless point. I think it's just like, all right, like if you didn't like the Super Bowl, just say that, just keep it a buck. But to say that like it was too complicated for you just shows like you're not trying to think at all. Like that's not what you're trying to do. And the whole message of like just play your bangers, don't do anything else, reminds me of the LeBron just shut up and dribble.
And it's always unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
The statement shut up and dribble is way worse, but the sentiment regarding Kendrick's artistry is kind of wild to me, knowing that most of his music has been kind of in this like activism, talking about the black experience, talking about oppression within America, and you thought he wasn't gonna make a statement? Like, have you ever listened to Kendrick? Even DNA, it's in my DNA. Like the whole song is about being black in America, and y'all just thought he was going to just be up there on stage, just performing humble like he normally does. Like, I think that's kind of crazy, bro. I think it's kind of insane, kind of wild. So the last critique that I kind of want to combat is actually more for Kendrick supporters. I saw a lot of people, even peers of mine, kind of wanted him to do more. And I'm not saying Kendrick is perfect by any means, but there was this thought that Kendrick should do more. Kendrick presents himself as like a revolutionary. Kendrick presents himself as this like a great activist. But I want to remind everyone that there are restrictions in the Super Bowl. Even the statements that Kendrick is making have to be approved by these high-level execs at the Super Bowl. And those high-level execs are here to appease America. Okay, we saw it with Colin Kaepernick. We saw it with Kendrick already having to censor himself when he performed All Right the first time that he was at the Super Bowl. And he didn't say, we hate Po-Po. That was obviously because the Super Bowl said you can't do that. They tried to tell Snoop Dogg he couldn't have a bandana that represented any gang colors. He wore like a bandana outfit to kind of combat that. We have to recognize that Kendrick may have wanted to go harder in terms of like his takes and like kind of what he was presenting, the message that he was presenting, but the Super Bowl probably wouldn't have allowed it. And I'm even surprised that he got off as much as he did, especially with the Samuel L. Jackson kind of performance. I'm surprised they even let him do that in front of the President of the United States. We got to understand that there's probably a lot of roadblocks in terms of making a statement and kind of what he was saying. Now, given that, do I wish he would have said more? Yes. Given that, do I think it might have been better to play a song like All Right? Maybe I think it could have been, because that's very much a anti kind of the current American structure song. I think that could have been beneficial. I think he had a lot of tracks where it would have been cool to kind of hear him rap some of these songs off of T-Pab. However, do I think he did a good job overall? Yes. I give it like a 9 to 9.5 out of 10. Like, given the circumstance, I think he did a fine job. I think he did more than other celebrities would have in his position. I think he did more than the other Super Bowl performers in terms of activism and kind of like speaking out against these topics. Given that metric, I think he did a solid job. I don't think there's much that I necessarily would have expected him to do. Even having Serena Williams up there crip walking, kind of crazy. Like, I did not expect that at all. And to have Samuel L. Jackson, who has been a huge activist, especially when he was growing up, to have him be Uncle Sam was really clever. I think he gave a shout out to Spike Lee with the 40 acres and a mule comment. So I think Spike Lee even gave him a shout out. People were just trying to really shut down his performance as a whole. I do think there's issues with him performing at the Super Bowl in general. Like, I do think that's an okay critique. I think No Name even said in a song, like, the Super Bowl is this very American, this very capitalistic, military-industrial complex thing. I think it is an issue to perform in general, but I think Kendrick did make the most of it as much as he could. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts, opinions, takes. As always, man, check out my other platforms down below. I have them linked. I have a new gaming channel. I don't know if y'all have seen. I got a Twitch where I be gaming and just chatting with y'all, reacting to music, doing whatever. I'd be cooling. It's kind of like my little passion thing. I just be having a good time. But I appreciate everybody who stopped in. Check out my other video essays as well. I have them like put to the side right here if you want to check them out. As always, I love you guys and appreciate you guys. Peace out. Be smooth.